Henry, and then Josh.
In schools where there are a contentious relationship, or rather an adversarial one between staff and principal, I think that the chapter chairperson has to be somebody above reproach. The chapter chairperson should be the role model on how to fight. I mean, I'll give you the analogy of a schoolyard bully. You're fighting a schoolyard bully, and the only way to do it is to have somebody fight him that's not afraid of him. Obviously somebody that's tenured, somebody that's never absent, somebody that's never late, and somebody that has all their ducks in order. Because they will come after you, they will play dirty tricks. I know, I've had them all played on me. And also somebody that doesn't have a martyr complex because you don't want to cancel yourself out. Somebody that, it happens, I mean. In other words, somebody that people can point to, wait a minute, all we're saying is live up to the contract. That's all we're saying. I mean, we're not asking for much. We're asking for our rights. And that's what happened in my school. We had a bully, and I find that one of the best ways to fight a bully, they're usually pretty pompous and, very like Hitler, like every other dictator, is to lampoon them. Lampoon them on the blogs, lampoon them on YouTube. The kids will take it from there, because they'll also lampoon them as well, the people in charge, because the kids have an anti-authoritarian strain. The problem is not to have it to the point that it's nihilistic. So it's kind of like a balancing act. You must choose people that are brave, morally and physically, yes, physically as well, when you're fighting these bullies, because that's what the DOE has staffed buildings with. I know not in every case, but I've heard again and again and again that some of these principals actually say your union is garbage, your contract is SHIT. Well, that's when I get upset and I say, okay, it's time to put on the boxing gloves and to get in there into the ring and fight.
Thank you. Josh, and then I think we have two other people, and then we're gonna...
I want to speak to some issues around the small school question, and then to talk about some lessons that I've learned from the other fishbowl. So, I'm now in my second school where, really in some ways my third school, where like there's no union meetings, almost never. It's very challenging to try to bring a union consciousness to these type of environments. And, I don't know if anyone's mentioned it so far, but like our principal is actually like really well liked. I mean, it's not, there's no one who dislikes our principal. He's leaving to leave the state, and people are very upset about that. How do you do it in that kind of circumstance? I don't think I've heard anyone talk about what do you do when you have a chapter leader who works against you, and I know that exists in a lot of places. So I've had that now. This is my second consecutive school in that situation. My current thinking is to abandon the union in my organizing efforts and to try to organize outside of like in the name of the union, which I have questions about, because when do you raise consciousness if you're not using the union as your organizing tool? So the two things that I heard that I thought were very important from the other fishbowl, one was to try to shoot for some success. So right now, our school, we got a D on our report card, and teachers are very concerned about that, and so they'd like to do something about it. So we had a meeting where a number of different teachers came, and it seems like there's some interest in trying to organize with parents. And so I'm hoping to to organize some kind of a parent teach-in. And then the other piece of advice that I think is a good one is to try to get other people involved as like point people. So I'm hoping to like have some success with that, and then to let them start making their own decisions about ways to go, and it's not just me trying to do everything. So those are some things I think I've been trying, and hearing that reaffirms what I'm already trying to do.
No, you. Oh, all right. What did I hear? I heard was stuck out for me was when the union has been implicit in demoralization of public education. More so demoralizing of the staff. And I just heard also about when the chapter leader works against you. And that's a big one for me. We have a chapter leader who doesn't have a teaching license because she's a shop teacher. shop teachers don't need a license, they need 5 years in the business and then they come in. And so she's like, she has to like maintain really, she walks a very tight rope and she has to maintain really good relations with the administration. And often she's not for the best interest of the staff, of her colleagues. So that's a delicate situation. Thank you.
My name is Roberta Pixer, and I'm from Adult Education. And so I'm here to see, we, like you, are spread out all over the city. We have different little centers, or big centers, and each center has what is now a principal, but that's not the major thing. We deal as a chapter with administration. So one thing I want to know is when you say consultation, what are you talking about? When we have consultation, it's a committee from the union that talks to the, whatever she is, the sub-chancellor and the CEO. That's true of adult education. So that's a question. What do you mean when you say consultation? Who's consulting?
Chapter 2 principal.
Oh, I see. Okay, we're chapter to the big guys. Okay, and then I want to ask you later about grievances. I've been told you can't. All grievances are personal. Is that a lie?
No.
Oh, okay. Then I'll talk to you later. You can't make a group grievance. It's always about you, which is intimidates people. But okay, I'll talk to you. Fine. So one thing I did want to say to Anthony is that the democracy is at stake. And you say this is not going to work, this model of charterization. It's working. The work is to de-educate the populace. It's working perfectly. We don't want teachers. We don't want people like you or any of us. We want to train them to be as quiet as they can while we funnel them directly to our biggest growth industry, which is the prisons. It's working. So now the question is, how do we stop it from working and take it back to what we want to do, which is to animate the populace to take charge of our country again. This is much bigger even than you said. So I think we have to keep that in mind. This is working perfectly, and that's the problem. And that's the thing we really have to attack. Our teachers, we have a lot of old teachers. They're all tenured, and they're terrified. No, you have a grievance. I can't do it. I am not tenured for various reasons. But you do it, because, oh no, I can't do this. So we're in that same boat, and you can talk, this is maybe not the group. Sometimes it's not the group. And I'm not a chapter chair, I'm just a secretary. But, well, I write a lot of notes. There's a tremendous amount of fear. And in fact, our program, which used to be enormous, there used to be one place in Queens that had something like, I don't know, what did they tell me, 50 different classes, is now down to 20. And our jobs, for which many teachers had what we call back-to-backs, that is, you have a morning class session and an afternoon class session. The afternoons have been eliminated. Our teachers are on 12-hour shifts. But like restaurant workers, we only get paid for the time we have nose-to-nose contact with the students. So we're all exhausted, in addition to being terrified, most of us. So it's nice to hear this stuff and to get some ideas from you. I just want you to know that we exist and that you should take us into account because it's it's on the same continuum.
The one piece of advice that I want to, something that I think is very, very important for everybody to keep in mind is that this is not a union of plumbers and it is not a union of transit workers. It is a union of teachers. And it's very important that is not the discourse of the UFT, and that I think relates to the comment about rejecting the service model. It's very important for us to understand that the people care about pensions, and pensions are important. At the same time, the union's responsibility is to protect education in a democracy and to protect kids who have historically not been well served by public education. And it's a challenge for us to create a discourse of teacher unionism that incorporates those ideas. And that's just, I want to just say that that discourse, I think, is a powerful organizing tool for new teachers. That, to me, is something that relates to what everybody said. It is a powerful organizing tool for new teachers, but it's a discourse that old teachers may not be familiar with. So we have to realize that the union, the transformation of the union, I'm going to say this, the transformation of the union is not going to be done by old teachers. It's going to be done by a new generation with the support of old teachers. And so it's our opportunity now to develop that discourse, a new discourse of teacher unionism. So that's what I want to say about